the encounter. The arena was carved deep into the rock of a dead world. Around its wide circle, thousands of alien eyes glowed in the shadows. Strange banners of bone and metal hung from the walls, rattling in the dry wind. The sound of drums echoed through the air, heavy and slow, like the beat of a giant heart. The ground was dust and ash, stained by battles long forgotten, stained by the blood of many species. The gates opened, and a human was pushed forward. Chains bound his hands, but his back was straight. His steps were steady, even though he was alone in the center of a world that was not his. His armor was torn, his face was marked with scars of war, but his eyes, dark and sharp, did not lower. He did not look weak. He looked alive, calm, and unshaken. The crowd murmured with laughter. They had seen humans before. They remembered them as prey, as servants, as broken things that kneeled when ordered. But this one did not kneel. This one did not even blink as he stood under the burning lights of the alien arena. From the other side, another gate opened. A figure stepped out, taller than any human, wrapped in black and silver armor. His horns curved upward, his eyes burned with cold fire, and his voice cut through the air like a blade. He was the warlord of this world, master of the arena, breaker of countless species. Every step he took sent a tremor across the dust. The crowd cheered and roared his name, their voices shaking the walls. But beside him came something else. It was not a soldier. It was not a machine. It was a beast. The creature was larger than a war chariot, its fur white as ice, its eyes glowing blue with hunger. Its fangs were long and dripping, its claws sharp enough to tear steel apart. It growled, the sound so deep that the ground itself seemed to vibrate. Frost clung to its breath, and every exhale spread a cold mist around its jaws. The crowd gasped as the beast walked into the arena, chained but restless, waiting for a single command to kill. The warlord raised his arm, and the noise of the crowd fell silent. He stared at the human like a hunter watching a small animal. His voice thundered across the circle. "Kneel, human. One command from me and my beast will tear you apart." The words carried power. The sound shook the arena. The beast growled louder, pulling at its chains, eager for blood. The crowd roared again, laughing, waiting to see the human collapse in fear. But the human did not kneel. He stood still, his face calm, his eyes locked on the warlord. The warlord narrowed his gaze. He stepped closer, his heavy armor striking the ground with every move. The beast's blue eyes burned brighter, and its fangs glistened with saliva. Its breath came in short bursts, each like a wave of icy air that reached even the front rows of the crowd. Still, the human did not move. His chains rattled softly as the wind caught them, but his legs did not bend. His shoulders did not drop. He stood tall like a figure carved in stone. The warlord's voice turned colder, sharper, filled with insult. "Do you not hear me? Do you not see the death waiting beside me? Kneel or be devoured." The crowd laughed louder, their voices mixing with the beast's growl. They expected fear. They expected begging. They expected the human to fall to his knees like so many before him. But silence filled the space between each breath of the human. He did not tremble. His eyes did not show fear. Instead, they carried something the crowd could not understand. Something the warlord could not accept. The beast lunged forward a step, pulling its chain so hard that sparks flew from the metal. The guards holding the chain struggled to control it, but still the human did not move. The crowd grew confused. The laughter faded to whispers. They looked at one another, wondering what kind of human this was. Why did he not kneel? Why did he not scream? The warlord's jaw tightened. His pride was sharp and his anger was growing. He wanted to see fear. He wanted to see the human bow, to break before the beast, to prove that humans were weak, but this one stood. Silent, calm, defiant. The drums began again, slower now, deeper, echoing through the stone walls. The beast's eyes glowed brighter, its fangs dripping as it snapped against its chains. The warlord lifted his arm higher, ready to give the command that would end the human in a single breath. And yet, in the middle of the arena, under the eyes of thousands, the human remained unshaken. He did not kneel. He stared at the warlord with the steady calm of someone who had seen death before and had never bowed to it. His silence was louder than the drums, louder than the beast, louder than the crowd. The warlord's lips curved into a cruel smile, but deep in his burning eyes, for the first time there was something else. Not victory, not triumph, but doubt. The encounter had begun. The threat, the arena shook with restless noise. The crowd shouted, their voices sharp with hunger for blood. But beneath their noise, one truth was clear. The human still had not knelt. The warlord's armor gleamed in the pale light as he moved closer. His shadow stretched long across the dust. His horns caught the glow of the fire pits that circled the arena, making him look less like a ruler and more like a demon born of iron and flame. His hand rested on the chain of the beast, and every time he tightened his grip, the monster snapped its jaws, eager for freedom. The human raised his head. His lips were sealed, but his eyes told a story of defiance. It was not the pride of a king or the arrogance of a fool. It was something else, something that unsettled even the wildest creatures watching from the dark corners of the stands. The warlord's voice rose again, cutting through the chaos. You stand there like stone, human. Do you think silence will protect you? Do you think stillness will save you? The beast roared at the words as if it understood. Its claws scraped against the ground, carving deep lines into the dust. Blue light burned from its throat, a sign of the strange energy that pulsed within its body. The guards holding its chains struggled again, their muscles shaking as the monster pulled them forward. The crowd cheered louder. They wanted blood. They wanted screams. But still the human did not move. The warlord tilted his head, studying the figure before him. Perhaps you are broken already. Perhaps your mind is gone. You are too simple to know what waits for you. My beast does not kill quickly. It will tear you apart piece by piece. It will savor you. It will crush your bones while you still breathe. It will eat your heart while your eyes still see. This is the gift I give you if you defy me. The words echoed like thunder. The crowd roared in approval, stomping their feet and pounding their hands against the stone walls. Dust rained from the ceiling as the sound shook the arena. The human's chains rattled softly as he shifted his weight. For the first time he spoke. His voice was quiet but steady, strong enough to carry across the ring. I have seen beasts before. The warlord froze. The crowd grew silent, leaning forward. They had not expected him to speak. The human's voice did not tremble. On my world, we do not kneel to teeth or claws. Monsters come and monsters fall, but humanity stands. The words cut the air like a blade. The crowd murmured, confused, unsettled. Many of them had never heard a human speak with such courage. The warlord's eyes narrowed. His grip on the chain grew tighter. Rage burned inside him, but he forced it down, letting his pride guide his words. You are not on your world, he said. You are mine. My arena, my command, my beast. Here you will kneel. Or you will die. The beast's roar shook the ground again. Its saliva hissed as it struck the dust, cold as frost but hot with hunger. Its eyes locked on the human, glowing brighter, unblinking. The human lifted his head higher, his stare locked on the warlord. You do not understand, he said. It is not I who should kneel. The crowd gasped. The words rang louder than they should have, carried by the silence of the beast, the hush of the drums, the stillness of the moment. Even the wind seemed to stop. The warlord snarled, his pride cut deep. His armor clattered as he took another step forward, towering over the human. His horns glistened, his eyes blazed with fury. His hand hovered above the beast's collar, ready to release it. But the human did not step back. Instead, he leaned forward, his chains clinking like whispers of defiance. You threaten me with your beast. But I am not afraid. If you unleash it, it will not be my end. It will be yours. The crowd erupted into chaos. Some laughed, some shouted, some screamed for the warlord to command the kill. Others, though, stared in silence, their faces pale, their voices trapped in their throats. They had never seen a human speak this way, never seen one look death in the eye without breaking. The beast's growl grew louder, a sound that rolled like thunder through the stone floor. Its claws cracked the ground. Its chain stretched tight, glowing faintly under the strain. It was seconds away from being set free. The warlord raised his hand, ready to unleash the command. His eyes glowed brighter, his smile cruel and sharp. The human did not blink, he only whispered, his voice sharp as steel. Try me. The crowd held its breath. The drums stopped. The air itself seemed to freeze. The beast roared so loud that even the mountains outside the arena might have heard it, and the warlord's hand came down. The Defiance. The beast's roar thundered across the arena, shaking the walls, rattling the banners, and silencing even the loudest voices in the crowd. Dust fell from the stone ceilings, and the chains around the human's wrists trembled with the force of the sound. The warlord's hand cut through the air, his command unspoken but clear. The beast lunged forward, chains snapping tight, its body like a storm of fur, muscle, and hunger. But the human did not move. Every other species would have collapsed in terror. Every other prisoner would have begged for mercy. But this one, standing alone in the ash and fire of the arena, did not even flinch. His eyes locked on the warlord, not on the beast. It was as if the monster charging toward him was nothing but a shadow, nothing but a whisper of danger. The warlord's smile widened. He expected blood. He expected screams. He expected the crowd to see a man crushed in a single moment. Instead, they saw something else. The human shifted his feet, steady as stone. As the beast lunged, its jaws opening wide enough to swallow him whole, he moved. Not fast enough to escape, not desperate enough to run, but sharp and precise. His chain whipped across the ground, and with one turn of his body, he slid aside. The beast crashed against the earth where he had stood, dust exploding in a storm. Gasps rose from the stands. The beast snarled, swinging back, its claws carving deep scars into the rock. Its eyes glowed brighter, its hunger deeper, yet the human stood tall once again, chains rattling softly, face calm. "You call this a monster?" The human's voice rang out, steady and strong. "On Earth we have faced worse, and we stood. Always." The words carried far, reaching even the highest seats of the arena. The crowd murmured in disbelief. Many had seen humans crawl before warlords, weep before execution, kneel before strength. This one was different. This one spoke with the voice of something more dangerous than claws or fangs. The warlord's face twisted with fury. He slammed his armored fist against the chain, sending the beast forward again. The creature roared and leapt, its body a blur of cold light and sharp teeth. This time the human did not step aside. He braced himself. His chains clinked as he twisted his arms. As the beast struck, he turned with the momentum and pulled hard. The chain around his wrists caught against the monster's snout for a breath of a second, enough to twist its head aside. The beast crashed again, its claws tearing stone but not flesh. The crowd erupted into chaos. Shouts, screams, disbelief. Guards stared wide-eyed. Even the warlord's cruel smile faltered. The human's voice thundered across the silence that followed. "You think your beast will break me? You think fear will make me kneel?" He raised his chained fists, shaking them in the air like defiance itself. "No, humanity kneels to no warlord, no monster, no master. Not now, not ever." The warlord's horns gleamed under the firelight as he leaned forward, rage burning in his eyes. His voice turned sharp, filled with venom. "You dare speak of humanity here? In my arena?"
"In front of my people?"
The human did not waver. "I speak of truth, and truth does not care for your throne." The beast roared again, trying to rise, trying to crush the small figure standing before it. But there was something new in the air, something heavier than fear. The crowd felt it. Even the guards felt it. A shift, a weight. A realization that this human was not like the others. For the first time, the warlord's certainty cracked. His beast was mighty, yes, but it had not destroyed the human. His voice had been thunder, but it had not bent this one to his will. The crowd that once laughed now stared in silence, their confidence unsteady. The human stepped forward, chains dragging against the dust. He stood only a few paces from the beast, his shadow stretched by the firelight. His chest rose with steady breaths. His words came out soft, but they cut deeper than the sharpest blade. "Kill me if you can. Command your beast. Try with all your strength. But know this, every moment I stand, I prove your weakness. Every second I breathe, I show your fear." The warlord's hand trembled on the chain. His eyes narrowed, glowing brighter, but behind the light was something he had never felt in his own arena. Doubt. The beast snarled, ready to strike again, but it did not move yet. It stared at the human with its glowing eyes, confused by the stillness of its prey. The drums in the arena started once more, but they sounded different now. Not the beat of triumph, not the rhythm of slaughter. They sounded like thunder before a storm. Heavy, slow, inevitable. The human raised his head higher, his voice rising above the beat. "You brought me here to kneel, but hear me now, I will stand until the end." The crowd erupted again, but this time the sound was mixed. Some screamed for the beast to finish him. Others remained quiet, their eyes locked on the human, caught by the strange fire that burned inside him. The warlord bared his teeth, anger twisting every line of his face. His pride demanded obedience. His power demanded fear, but what he saw was neither. What he saw was defiance, and that defiance was spreading. The beast unleashed. The air in the arena grew heavier. Every creature watching leaned forward, their eyes locked on the human who refused to kneel. The warlord's pride was burning, his patience was gone. The beast snarled and clawed at the stone, its blue eyes blazing like twin suns in the dark. The warlord lifted his hand again, this time without hesitation. His voice thundered across the arena. "Kill him!" The command cracked like a whip. The beast roared and surged forward, chains snapping loose from the guards who struggled to hold it. The iron links broke, scattering sparks across the ground. The monster was free. Its roar shook the stone walls. Its claws tore deep into the earth, shattering rock. It charged faster than a storm, faster than the eye could follow. Dust flew high, banners tore loose, and the crowd screamed with excitement. The human did not run. He braced his feet, shoulders straight, eyes locked on the oncoming beast. His heart beat steady, not wild. His breath was calm, not frantic. Chains rattled against his wrists, but he held them tight, ready to use them. The beast leapt, a wall of fur and muscle, its jaws opening wide to crush bone and flesh in a single bite. Its fangs dripped with frost, its roar a blast of freezing air. The crowd gasped, then the dust exploded. The human moved. Not like prey, not like a victim, but like a soldier. He rolled aside at the last instant, the beast crashing into the stone where he had stood. The ground split under the force, cracks racing outward. Stones flew. Guards stumbled, and still the human rose to his feet, chains spinning in his hands. The beast turned with a furious snarl, claws tearing through the broken earth. Its eyes glowed brighter, filled with rage and hunger. It lunged again, faster, claws swinging to slice him in half. The human ducked low, chains wrapping around one claw as it passed. With a sharp pull and a twist, he dragged the beast off balance. It crashed to the ground, its body shaking the arena. The crowd screamed louder, half in shock, half in wild cheers. The warlord's smile froze. His beast was strong enough to kill 10 armored soldiers in moments. Yet this human, this chained prisoner, had thrown it to the ground. The beast rose again, snarling, shaking dust from its fur. Its horns cut the air as it lowered its head, ready to gore him. The human's chest rose with slow breaths. He did not back away. He stepped forward. The crowd fell into silence. Every movement was too strange, too impossible to believe. This was not fear. This was not desperation. This was defiance becoming something more, something dangerous. The beast charged again, horn aimed for his chest. The human shifted at the last second, stepping aside with sharp precision. He brought the chain down hard, striking across the beast's glowing eye. The creature roared in pain, its head whipping aside. Blood, black and steaming, spilled onto the dust. The crowd gasped again. The sound of drums returned, but this time the beat was uneven, frantic, as though the drummers themselves did not know what came next. The warlord rose to his full height, his armor catching the firelight. His voice thundered, but it carried strain, not certainty. "Fight, beast! Tear him apart!" The creature obeyed, rage consuming it. Its body lunged again and again, claws slicing the air, jaws snapping shut inches from the human's throat. But each time the human moved, precise, calm, almost too fast for the eye. His chains struck like weapons, rapping, pulling, tearing. The beast bled. Its roars turned from hunger to pain. The crowd was no longer laughing. Many stood silent, their eyes wide. Some even whispered to one another, their voices shaken, as though they were witnessing not a battle, but the beginning of something they had never imagined. The beast staggered, one eye dark, its breath ragged. Frost still poured from its mouth, but its movements were slowing. The human stood tall before it, chains dripping with black blood. His body was bruised, his clothes torn, but his spirit burned stronger than before. He lifted his head toward the warlord. His voice rang out sharp as thunder. "You thought your beast would break me, but it bleeds and I still stand." The warlord's hands clenched around the rail of his throne, his teeth bared in anger. His pride was crumbling in front of his own people. His weapon of fear was failing. The beast, wounded and furious, tried one final strike. It leapt high, its body like a mountain crashing down, claws reaching, jaws wide. The human waited. He did not move too soon. He did not move too late. As the beast came down, he stepped into its shadow and twisted the chains around its horn. With all the strength in his body, he pulled hard, using the monster's own weight against it. The beast slammed into the ground, its body rolling, its horn snapping against the stone. It lay stunned, breath heaving, blood dripping. The crowd erupted into chaos, voices clashing between disbelief and awe. The human stood over it, chest rising, eyes still sharp. His chains rattled as he pulled them free and let them hang loose again. He looked at the warlord, his voice steady, his words clear. "You told me to kneel, yet it is your beast that lies broken before me." The arena fell silent. Every eye turned from the beast to the warlord, waiting for his answer. For the first time in his long rule, the warlord's face showed not anger, not power, but fear. The turning point, the arena was silent except for the ragged breathing of the beast. Its massive body twitched as it lay in the dust, broken, bleeding, its blue eyes dimming with each heavy breath. The chains that once controlled it now hung loose in the human's hands. The crowd did not cheer. They did not laugh. They watched, their voices stolen by what they had seen. A single human, chained and beaten, had stood against the warlord's most terrible creation and won. The warlord's jaw clenched so tight that the sound of grinding teeth echoed under his helm. His pride, his power, his name were all tied to that beast. It had been the blade of his rule, the proof of his supremacy, the terror that kept entire systems obedient. And now it lay defeated at the feet of a human who had refused to kneel. The human raised his head. His eyes burned with quiet fire as he stepped forward, leaving the beast behind. Each step echoed in the dust, slow, steady, unbroken. His chains dragged along the stone floor, clinking like bells of judgment. The warlord leaned forward, rage and disbelief twisting his face. He wanted to shout, to command, to strike, but the words caught in his throat. For the first time in his reign, he hesitated. The human's voice carried through the silence, sharp and clear. "You wanted me on my knees. You wanted fear. You wanted obedience. But now look." He stretched his arms wide, showing the broken chains, showing the silence of the crowd, showing the fallen beast. "It is not I who kneels." The crowd shifted. Some lowered their heads, not in laughter, but in awe. Others whispered, their voices heavy with a new fear. Fear not of the warlord, but of the defiance that stood before him. The warlord slammed his armored fist against the railing, the sound cracking like thunder. "You are nothing but a man. You are flesh, fragile and weak. You think this will save you?" The human stepped closer, his chains clinking, his eyes locked on the warlord. His voice was calm, almost quiet, but it reached every ear in the arena. "This was never about saving me. It was about showing you, showing all of you. Humanity does not kneel." The words rolled through the crowd like fire through dry grass. Murmurs grew louder, no longer mocking, no longer cruel. Some voices shouted in agreement, others in confusion. The foundation of fear that had held them all was breaking. The warlord's face darkened. He rose from his throne, his armor glowing under the firelight. He pointed at the human with a trembling hand. "Silence him. Kill him now!" But the guards did not move. Their eyes shifted between the warlord and the human. Their hands tight around their weapons, yet frozen in place. They had seen something they could not unsee. They had seen a beast fall and a human rise. The warlord roared in fury, but his voice no longer carried the same weight. He had commanded fear all his life, but fear was slipping through his fingers. The human lifted the broken chain and threw it to the ground. The sound cracked like lightning. He raised his voice one final time, and it struck the heart of every creature present. "You wanted the galaxy to watch me fall. Instead, they will watch me stand. And they will remember this day. Not as the day a human knelt, but as the day a human made a warlord tremble." The words burned in the air. The crowd erupted, not with laughter, not with mockery, but with chaos. Some shouted the human's defiance, repeating his words. Others cried out in fear of what it meant. The sound rose like a storm. 1,000 voices no longer united under the warlord's control. The warlord stood frozen, his beast broken, his guards uncertain, his people divided. For the first time, he felt the cold weight of weakness pressing against him, and it came not from a rival, not from an army, but from a single man in chains. The human's eyes did not leave him. His chest rose with slow breaths, his body battered but unbowed. He did not need weapons. He did not need armies. His defiance alone was sharper than any blade. The beast groaned one last time, then lay still, silence falling over its massive frame. The chains around its neck slipped loose, clattering against the stone. The warlord's voice faltered when he finally spoke. His words no longer thunder, but a whisper wrapped in disbelief. "What are you?" The human's answer came steady like a verdict. "I am human, and that is enough." The arena fell into stunned silence. The firelight flickered across the dust, across the broken beast, across the warlord's shaking hands. The crowd knew in that moment that nothing would ever be the same. The encounter had begun as a spectacle of fear, but it ended as a turning point. A single man had stood, and a galaxy had watched. And somewhere in the cold silence of the arena, the seeds of rebellion were planted,